Good morning. Hey, welcome to part two in our series titled Dating 101. Glad y'all can join me today. Let's build on yesterday's topic. Yesterday, we talked about using God as our source of life and not our partner, not the person we're in a relationship with, because if they're down, if they're fallen, then it's going to drain them and hurt ourselves. But if we use God as our source of life, then we can give abundantly of a never-ending source of love. Right? Cool. Now, today, we're going to talk about who pilots your relationship. We're going to start building on these dating ones, and I hope you see the building blocks falling into place. But who pilots your relationship is very, very key to avoid the obstacles that are going to come up in your relationship. Extremely key. Now, I'm going to show you today 3 pilots that are negative on your relationship, but sadly, that a lot of people use in their relationship. Y'all ready? Here we go. The first one is fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of missing something. Fear of being alone. This pilot puts someone on edge constantly. They're always drawn back in their relationship because they're always afraid. This is something that I've seen used quite a bit. The second one is pride. Pride really falls under this analogy. It's living life on your own terms. I do what I want and I'm not changing for anyone. Are you? Or are you so selfish and prideful that you're actually putting yourself in a box? And you're forcing yourself to stay with someone who doesn't love you and doesn't respect you for who you are because you're living life on your own terms. Pride. The third one is this. The third one is lust. Lust is really pretty simple. It's the fact that the physical attraction to this individual outweighs the emotional relationship that you have with them. Lust. Plain and simple. Those 3 pilots will steer a relationship straight into oncoming obstacles. Some of them you'll overcome. Some of them you're going to sink. And that relationship's going to fall apart. I can promise you that. But have you ever tried using God as your pilot? In 1 John 4, chapter 8, it says this. It says, anyone who does not love does not know God. God is love. If God is love, I think love would be the best pilot in the world for a relationship. Don't you? So wouldn't we use God to guide our vessel, to guide our relationship? I mean, that makes perfect sense. Let me debunk these 3 other pilots with God. You ready? Fear. Fear closes off and withdraws. It pulls back. It tends to be alone. The person who's utilizing fear as a pilot tends to be solitary, quiet, reserved. I'm not saying those are bad traits. I'm just saying those are things they tend to have. Whereas someone who's using love as their main pilot and God, they tend to open up. They tend to give freely to the people around them and the people that they're in a relationship with. Do you open up and give freely to your spouse or your partner, the person you're dating with? Is love piloting those relationships and those conversations? Think about it. The second one, pride. Pride will not tolerate risk of exposure. Pride is so protective of I got to maintain me. I've got to maintain this visual aspect of who I am and what everybody sees. But love risks vulnerability for the sake of the other person. Do you risk your own that's a really hard word to say. Vulnerability. I still ain't saying it right. For the sake of another person, for the sake of your partner. You have to be vulnerable. Take that risk. Step out in love. The third one is lust. Lust tells your partner that you only want them for the parts of them that you can use. Now, this primarily physical, but it can really get into emotional. Okay? They can only use you to make themselves feel better, to give themselves a high that they're better than you, then that is abuse, and that's abusing with lust. Love, however, love embraces the whole person on the good days and on the bad days. So right there you can see 3 ways that God, love, can pilot your relationships around these obstacles that other people tend to use fear, pride, and lust to pilot themselves straight into oncoming traffic. Now, as I said a while ago, I'm not saying I'm better. I have personally used each of these 3 pilots in my relationship with my wife. I have. And I've had to realize that and repent and get back on track and find the right path. And you will too. But my daily drink is this: who or what is piloting your relationships? What are some other pilots that you've allowed to steer your relationship? Put it in the comments below. Let us know. We would like to see it. How about this one? Has fear, pride, and lust been pilots in your relationship? If so, let us know if you've fallen into that and realized. So be sure and subscribe, like, comment. Let us know what you think about these videos. And for that, I'll see you tomorrow.